Alright, so this is the second video to the forecast base case. We just finished looking at how we could change the decline rate on a user-specified ARPS exponential forecast. We had looked over how to bring in data to do that, looked over some of the features, some of the buttons. Now we're going to go ahead and look at some of these buttons up here. We're going to load a stage 1 forecast. Now a stage 1 forecast is just a general way of saying we're going to load a forecast for this guy. In the event that you're doing a water flood, you're loading a forecast you've done somewhere else for a water flood. In the event that you're going from primary to water flood, you're going to load a forecast to primary. So whatever the previous stage of development you were in, that's what we're calling stage 1. So I'm just going to click this on, and it's a little prompt. This is the first of a lot more prompts you'll be seeing in Curve Builder. So you have elected to provide your own base case forecast stage 1. Please do not forget to load your forecast into the optional base case forecast tab. Rates must be in barrels of oil per day. There's the tab. Already have one loaded. You'll see here, when you click this, that's basically a block. So when the code triggers, it's going to see that it says no forecast, and it's going to divert the tool to go grab the data that you've loaded into optional base case forecast. So I'm going to go ahead, click plot, and so there it is. There's no interacting with it. This is the forecast. And so if you're given something that you want to use, you put it here. If you want to kind of check and make sure it is in fact doing what it's doing, at the very end of the subroutine, it returns your forecast back to you after it's basically appended it and merged it with the original data. And so you can kind of come in here for a quick check. 1 to 345, 1 to 345. Looks like everything's matching up. Now, I don't want to actually use that forecast. I liked the one I had. But it's as simple as just clicking a button to go back and forth. That's really what we're going to end up using, but I would like to go through a few more tools. You can disable stage 2 regression. And you'll say, what's stage 2 regression? We haven't seen that yet. See this other decline rate that we're not using? That is just putting in ARPS on your tertiary data. This is more of a kind of a real quick gauge of, I wonder how much incremental I'm going to be looking at. It doesn't matter what you do to this forecast, nothing's going to get used. It is strictly kind of a heads up of, oh, okay, this is what I might be looking at. So just doing an ARPS regression on it. Kind of disturbing because actually this pattern it's kind of implying that we would have been more efficient if we would have just continued on our way and never done that. Anyway, you can disable that. It's always running whether it's being plotted or not. So some of our users have had the instance where they didn't really have enough data, and it was they only had like 4 months of water flood data. And they wanted to go ahead and forecast from the historical data, but they didn't really want to be doing a regression on it. So they kept getting errors, and we included this disable stage 2 regression as a way of just turning that off. It won't even run that subroutine because you don't really need it. And one last quick comment, you do have to have values here. Now, if you're not injecting any gas, you don't really need, it doesn't really matter what your B sub G is. But you still need to have something. It can't be 0, because otherwise, even though you were giving it 0 gas, and whatever's here is not going to have any impact on your forecast, you still have to have this here, because otherwise the computer will be dividing by 0 somewhere and you'll start getting errors. So if you're doing water flood and you have a goof there, just put something there. It's not going to affect anything. It's just a thing. All right. So that pretty much wraps up this instance. Now we're going to be jumping over to injection schedule, this button right here.